Well, guys, I'm sitting at my computer stand, which is on wheels. This your way I can kind of move it around a little bit. Uh, because of the bad back and things, I tend to do a lot of laying on the couch. So I made a little computer stand and put little casters on it so I can keep my laptop on it and things. And if I want to switch on the couch from one side to the other or whatever the case may be, I can move it around. And if we get company, I can just roll it right out of the living room. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the Mosquito today. I bought this Mosquito probably 8 months to a year ago. To be honest with you, I'm not happy with it. I know you guys that have them, you like them, and I'm happy for you. I'm not saying anything against anybody for it. We all have an opinion, and my opinion is from day one, I've had nothing but problems with this, and I would never buy another Mosquito if my life depended on it. But at that point, the problems I was having from day one is that it wouldn't fire all the rounds. It would maybe fire 8 out of 10. And we can blame that on ammo, and justifiably so. And I've tried different types of ammo. Now, with that being said, I made a call to Sig Sauer. Now, even though this is a Sig, it's a Mosquito, I'm not knocking Sig. I will continue to buy Sig Sauer. I think they're a great company, and it's a great gun. So I will continue to buy Sig Sauer. However, when it comes to the Mosquito, I think it was a mistake. But even though I called Sig on this, I don't really consider it a phone call. But we called, and I was talking to one of the techs, and he, as well as I, kind of agreed that it may be the ammo because I haven't really been paying attention to the ammo that I was throwing in there. And naturally 22s aren't all dependable anyway, especially when you start buying the bricks. At that point, okay, it's a possibility, so we kind of just brushed it off and let it be, and I figure I'd work it out. So over time, it continued to get worse. Now, I didn't mind when it acted up because it gave me a chance to show a student the wrap, rack, and ready, or the wrap, rack, and reassess. This your way, if they ever had that problem, they would know how to handle it. And naturally, if it continues, you drop your feed and the magazine, and at that point you can, therefore empty the gun and make it safe. But at that point, let's get away from that for a minute. So I didn't mind it acting up occasionally because that's part of what I train when I do the teaching. So, but when it started getting to where it was more of the wrap, rack, and reassessing than it was the actual firing, and the students weren't really enjoying themselves, and they were having more problems with it and getting disgusted with it, it was just getting to a point to where I had to do something. And by this time, I've already, washed out and forgot about even thinking of calling Sig. So, I tried different types of ammo. I tried every brand that's local, that's available to me around here, as well as on the internet. And I've tried the high velocities. I've tried 36 grain, 40 grain, and even 60 grain. So regardless of the brand or the velocity or the grain, I still had the same problem. So it wasn't a characteristic to the ammo, or at this point in the gun. It was definitely an issue with the gun. Now I noticed that the primers, because I saved my shells, so I started checking the box for my casings. I noticed the primers in the beginning were getting struck a lot harder than the primers when I started having these problems. So I took apart the gun. I took the firing mechanism out of the slide, and I realized that the firing pin was being stopped by a little part of the safety. I don't recommend doing what I had done. I actually did a video on it, and I just did a little filing, and so that the firing pin can come out a little bit further and strike it as it did in the past. And it worked for a while, and then it started gradually acting up again. Almost as if the firing pin was just so soft, and over time you're just smushing it in. But to make a long story short, the gun got to a point to where it wouldn't even want to fire, nor would it want to eject if it did fire. It was starting to act as if the chamber was dirty. Now, I know for a fact that the chambers weren't dirty, because when I hand it from one student to another, I run a little swab through it, a brush through it, and I make sure that the barrel's clean as well as the cylinder. And I do this. It takes 30 seconds to do this between each student, and kind of make sure that it's clean, it's ready to go. So it got to that point to where it was just unbearable. So I took the firing pin out of this completely. It has no firing pin in it any longer. So I can still use it as a tool, so that the students can still use it, hold it, grip it, work it, and do what they feel and get comfortable with holding a real firearm in their hands. But what I had done was I replaced it with this one. Now this is the Smith & Wesson 22A-1. Now why I replaced it with this one is I have a number of these type of firearms. And I bring a number of firearms with me because I want the students to realize that there's more than one type of firearm. There's some with the backstrap safeties, there's some with the safety hammer drop on the frame instead of on the slide. Some haven't got the hammer drop on the safety, some have the hammer drop over here. So I go through a lot of this, so I bring a lot of guns with me. When I seen this one, even though it's a target pistol, I said, you know what? This would be a good training tool because, one, it's been in Smith & Wesson's arsenal for a long time. They've been selling this for a long time. I haven't seen any real bad reports on this thing. So you know what? It's a good one to start with. Plus, it works a little differently. Now, I can't let the camera down here because I'm holding it with one hand, and I can't really activate the slide with this with one hand. But this one here, as you can see, operates a little bit differently. So with that being said, it gives me another tool to show and tell, as well as for them to use. And at that point, have something that they can use and hopefully have it feed properly. And I'll worry about the rack and ready routines with just using a bad round. I'll just put a couple, bad rounds in there so that they do have to do the rack and ready. So anyway, there's a new member to my arsenal. The wife told me I got to slow down a little bit, though, only because I think I bought 4 guns in 2 weeks. You guys, if you watch my videos, would know more than I do. Again, I don't keep track of time. I bought the Remington 870 20 gauge pump. Then a week later I picked up the Mossberg SA20 semi-auto or auto load. And then a few days after that I picked up the Beretta PX4 Storm 40 cal. And then I picked this up on Friday of this past Friday. So the wife says it's time to slow down a little bit, and I agree. I've got to deal with her to where 1 gun a month is a rule, is okay. So when I start getting carried away with this point, it's a little tough. Especially now that she had said that she kind of realizes and understands that Connecticut is no longer going to be our retirement state. Now, her and I both were born and bred in Connecticut. And for the last couple of years, I've been throwing little nudges to her that it may be getting time to move out of Connecticut. One is definitely the gun laws. I really don't like being told what I can and can't do. Even, I mean, when it comes to the town, if I wanted, for instance, hypothetically, if I wanted to change my hot water tank, which is in the basement, out of the way, nobody sees it but us, but if it had blown and I wanted to change it, the town actually wants me to take out a permit to change the hot water tank. Now naturally they're not going to know if I changed it or not, unless they see me carrying one in and one out. But other than that, this is just the way it is around here. If you want to dig a hole in the back, you have to go to town and get a permit. Again, you don't have to. More than likely, they're not going to find out. But if you have a jealous neighbor, and luckily we do not. Our neighbors, we all get along, and we all kind of feel the same. But if you were to have a jealous neighbor or a new neighbor or something like that, you're going to have problems. And I just don't care for all the bullshit that Connecticut's going through lately. It's a very expensive state to live in. And if we're going to sit back and so-called retire, it's time to think about it. And the wife realizes this, and she had actually says to me after a couple of years of me showing her or emailing her different property listings from down south, she's starting to realize that, yes, even though we're living here comfortably, she does work. She retired once back in 2000, but she couldn't stand hanging around the house with me all day. So she went back to work, well, she doesn't mind if I say it. She's going to be 65 years old this year, and so she's going to be ready to collect Social Security without any penalties and things if she chooses to. So if she wants to stop working, I don't mind. She could have stopped and never worked again, but if she wants to stop working again and take her Social Security and then work somewhere part-time because she likes to stay active, God bless her. I love her. And at that point, that's it. So, it's one of these things to where we're really seriously thinking about it, and I'm going to start looking for property down in either the southern part of North Carolina or the northern part of South Carolina. I don't really care for the shoreline anymore. I've been on the shore all my life. We've boated all our lives, so now it's time to get inland a little bit. Possibly maybe near a river or a lake or something like that, so I can have a little water recreation. I don't fish. I will if I have to, but other than that, I don't fish. Nor do I hunt. Again, I would if I have to, but I don't have to, so I don't. But I still want to be able to use my weapon or my gun. If I want to go on the back porch and have my morning coffee and do a little target practice, I can do so. I don't have to worry about going to a range. I can still do some classes here and there, I guess, and see what happens. And take it one step at a time. But anyway, guys, there's the new one. There's the bad one. If I insulted anybody that has a mosquito and likes it, I feel sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Blah, blah, blah. I had coffee. But anyway, I'm sorry if I insulted anybody. Let's try that again. I didn't mean to. If you own one, you like it, you're happy with it, that's fine. For myself, it just didn't work out. But then again, I go through a lot of rounds. Someday I'll do a quick video on what I have in the garage on 6 to maybe 8 weeks worth of brass. I've got about 75 pounds of brass out there. I go through that about every 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks tops. I'll go through 75 pounds of brass. So I go through a lot of ammunition, and some guns just can't take that abuse. But therefore, guys, have a good one. Catch you later.